Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 19th of August 2023. We'll be dealing with Daniel in chapters 10, 11, and 12, uncovering some new information that has been revealed. Okay. You can go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have a lot of videos packed with a lot of information. And this information will lead you to the connect dots for you and lead you to the truth. If you're seeking the truth. If you like what you are hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And for those that feel the need to support the channel, you can see our cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that we mean we don't deal with the God, Christ that's in the Old Testament, in the New Testament. We only deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and we deal with the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is the Torah. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer. We're going to read the Psalms, do some current events, a little need to know information. Then we'll go into the topic of the class, which is Daniel chapters 10, 11, and 12, revisited. Okay, so this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before you. We thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom, and we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers, and you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are in your role, directed us to who you are in your goings on of heaven and earth. When we come this Sabbath day, doubtless that we will appear, that we will get your nation from among, you'll gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. Okay. Peace be unto you. Okay, so with that being said, read the Psalms. Okay. Okay. Read Psalms 130, Psalm 37. Okay. It says, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord, do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger, and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow, and cast down the poor and needy, and slay such as be of upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. A little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arm of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil times, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as fat of lambs. They shall consume, and to smoke shall they consume away. The wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful and lendeth, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil, and do good, and dwell forevermore. For the Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart. None of his steps shall slide. The wicked watcheth the righteous, and seeketh to slay him. The Lord will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Lord, keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. I sought for him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in the time of trouble, and the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. Okay, so that was Psalms 37. It's the true state of the wicked. It's a Psalm of David. Any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. I just have a little comment as you was reading this, and you have read it so many times. This is really wisdom over worry. You don't worry about the wicked, um, because when you know the God that you serve, you know that He can do the wicked worse than you. So you just put your trust in Him and just go on about your business. Don't fret about it. So that's what I was thinking about as you was reading Psalms 37. Is that we don't worry about the ungodly. We put our trust in the God that we know and we understand. So I look at this as, wisdom over worry.
Okay, yeah. So when I read this, the reason I read it so much because um it's a Psalm of David, right? But it's when you reading it and understand that it's a Psalm of David, it's David's walk with the Lord of hosts. And when he started out, we know the mistakes he made. Um, we know how the how the Lord of hosts feels about uh, young men, young at a young age. He come and get them, start dealing with him, dealing with them. So he started young with David, And when David got up in age, David kind of veered away from him with the situation with Bathsheba and other things. And then in his older age, he learned. And so this is pretty much what this psalm is about. David's walk with God. In the beginning, how he clung to him, then he got older and kind of veered away, and then he understood to keep him close at all times. And one other thing about it is, I noticed in here, like, I think it's 5 times I counted, is he keep telling you that the wicked gonna get cut off.
Right. Yes, sir. Right.
So, yeah. So
Right.
no matter what you're looking at, knowing that you are, knowing that you apple his eye, that eventually whatever wickedness that's around you is gonna go away. You're gonna cut it off.
Right. Yes, sir. And as you was reading, just to point out a little bit in verses, 7 and 8 through that, David was saying, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret because of him who prosper in his ways, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret. It only causes harm. So David is letting us know to trust in the Lord. We don't have to battle with the wicked, because the Lord is going to do that for us. So that was just my understanding. Like I said, as you was reading that, David had that wisdom, so he didn't worry,
Right.
about what the wicked could do to him, because he always trusted and waited patiently on the Lord.
Right.
Shalom.
Okay.
My take when you were reading that, it's a psalm to me that is really gratifying, because as you read it and as we know, David wasn't always good, but the Lord of hosts always loved him, because he knew that David hungered for the wisdom, but he went astray on a couple occasions, but he is the chosen one that will return. And so when he did stray away and he knew he had to get back, the Lord of hosts was really loving that he did, because he loved David, because he already knew how much he loved him, but he was, he strayed away. So it is a really good passage that you read over and over, and it does help us to know that he loves us, and that if we have strayed and we come back, that we have the Lord of hosts there, and like you say, the wicked will be cut off. Shalom.
Oh, sister. Yes, yes. We know it says in Psalms 37, God delights in a good man. So we know that he knows our hearts no matter what. So like you say, even though, David may have, stumbled a couple times, he always returned back to the Lord of hosts and asked for forgiveness.
Right. That's
Yes.
an example. It's a greater understanding in that too, in our daily lives now, because like I was saying with the truth, you might be within the truth, dealing with it, and then you decide to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Then find out that where you was at was where the truth was at, and the spirit of God was there, but you don't have enough you know intestinal fortitude to go back.
Mhm.
But
Yes,
that's the
sir.
difference in David. That's the difference in David and the rest of his descendants that was on the throne. When you go and read First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, and all that, and Kings, uh, David he was quick to repent.
Yes,
He
sir.
had no problem with repenting.
Mm.
So all that goes to loving the Lord and understanding who He is and where you fit in the program at. If you supposedly following the Lord and then you veer away from Him, and then you come to your realization that uh you out of whack. I mean, you and don't go back. You assuming that you like Him. You just
Mm.
as equal to God, because you're not willing to submit yourself and return back to where you was at.
Yes, sir.
That's where the stiff neck come in at, like the Pharaoh. So he figured he was just like the God of Israel. He thought he was like God, so he wouldn't submit. Is there something?
Yes, sir. Hallelujah.
Okay. So with this, we'll go to some current events. Okay.
Here's how to make it.
I checked to see if there were any updates. If things have gotten worse than they thought it was going to be. They felt like it was going to diminish a little bit, be more of a tropical storm. This is now Category 4 hurricane. They have not seen this in 80 years. People need to stop playing God. Stop seed clouding. All of the stuff that you're doing is making it worse. So, as of yet, there aren't any shortages in the stores, but I do expect that there will be shortages in the stores, that they will run out of water, that they will have to give water out at the fire departments. They're already giving out sand and sandbags at the fire department.
Coastal areas, and particularly Casa Romantica here, historical cultural center. Workers are going to be taking some precautionary measures to try and protect the backside of the ocean. They want to prevent yet another landslide. Take a look at this. Here's some video from one of the times the earth has given way here around Casa Romantica. Later this morning, workers will spread plastic and place sandbags on that slope. A stabilization plan for the upper part of the bluff where the center sits, that's already been put into place. City council members approved more than $8.5 million in funding. The project includes using 100-foot tiebacks that are drilled horizontally into the ground. The cultural center is open right now, though, by the way, to the public in areas which have been deemed safe. Here on North Beach in San Clemente. And in anticipation of this big surf, a public works crew has built a small berm along that South Orange County stretch of shoreline to protect lifeguard towers and buildings like restrooms.
Severe weather is looming. People are bracing for Hurricane Hilary to hit. Advisories have been given. State of emergencies are pending, dependent upon what happens when Hilary hits California. Flash flooding could be expected. Let's get into it. California has not seen a hurricane like this for 80 years. That's serious. 80 years and you haven't seen a hurricane like this. Could this be from the cloud seeding that they were doing just recently? We're expecting worse and worse weather all across the United States as many states tamper with weather, trying to fix droughts or create. So Hurricane Hilary is now a major hurricane with significant impacts expected in California's southwest. It's saying that Hurricane Hilary rapidly intensified into a Category 3 cyclone on Thursday. And forecasters said that the hurricane's path means the storm could bring significant impacts to Southern California and the Southwest by the weekend and into the first part of next week. They expect by Tuesday, with all the rainfall, they could get around 10 inches. Its sustained winds have increased 35 miles per hour in a 24-hour period. Rainfall impacts from Hillary within the southwestern United States are expected to peak this weekend into Monday. Flash, urban, and aero flooding is possible with the potential for significant impacts. Ocean water temperatures off the coast of California remain cool, so influence should diminish the intensity of Hurricane Hillary if the forecast tracks bring the storm to the Golden State. So where is Hillary?
Has anybody heard anything about that? The storm?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I heard about it, and they were saying too that if this thing goes like they say it is, it would be equivalent to like a year worth of rain there that would, like she's saying, cause tremendous mudslides and stuff.
Okay.
Have you ever seen someone who covers her body?
Anybody heard that? Anybody heard anything else?
Yes, sir. I've been following that. I was watching this morning on CNN this morning, and they were saying that it has picked up and that they was expecting for it to hit as a Category 4 up to 130 miles per hour wind. So we already know the mudslides that can happen in California, but I was watching it this morning right before we got online.
Okay. Yeah, excuse me, that thing, my computer tripping. So you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we got another one right here.
In South Africa, and they are saying that they want to shift the balance from the West, and their agenda is rebalancing it and taking back power, which we can all agree that the power has been skewed for a long time now, and it's about time that other nations come together and change that. Because if you allow a nation or two to run the world, they are going to have their way and they're going to be ruthless about it, which we've seen happen. And so this nation's coming together to bring back balance to those that have been affected, that have been exploited, and that have faced inequality is something that needed to happen years ago, but it's better late than never. So the group BRICS consists of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And these countries combined have a population of more than 3.2 billion people, making about 40% of the world's population, which is 8 billion. So there is power in number. For so long, we thought, we had to abide by the laws and rules that are set by this few people that claim that we won't be nowhere without them, or they told us that there are saviors, or acted that way, or intervened in our politics, so we can no longer have good politicians, good leaders, and put their own puppets in leadership roles. Now we're saying enough is enough. So BRICS coming together and actually having an agenda of like rebalancing how things have gone thus far is something that definitely a lot of countries are looking at, and they want to be part of that group as well, because the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, said that numerous countries asked to join this group, including Saudi Arabia. Let me show you this clip of the meeting. We'll come back and discuss.
We are a symbol of change and must act accordingly. Among the key threats to international peace and security is that of terrorism. All nations must take resolute measures against this menace, including its financing and propaganda. Our gathering must send out a strong message that the world is multipolar, that it is rebalancing, and that old ways cannot address new situations. A BRICS meeting is an important event in our diplomatic calendar, and more so at a time when the international situation is challenging. Colleagues, the global environment today demands that we, the BRICS nations, approach key contemporary issues seriously, constructively, and collectively. Our gathering must send out a strong message that the world is multipolar, that it is rebalancing, and that old ways cannot address new situations.
Okay, so this week right here, they're gonna have a BRIC summit, so expecting everybody to keep their eyes on that. Okay, got some need to know information right here. To me, it's a sign that they already know what's coming.
Thank you so much for being here today. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the rejection rate for loan applications in the United States is surging to the highest level since 2018. It climbed to nearly 22% as of the end of June. It is the highest level in the past 5 years. Here's what it means. It means that more and more Americans are being rejected when they apply for new credit cards, new car loans, and mortgages because lenders are now requiring a lot more from potential borrowers in terms of better credit history, higher earnings, and a lower debt-to-income ratio. And this is in addition to borrowing costs rising. So at the end of the day, these factors combined are creating an affordability crisis for low to middle income earners. Additionally, the pullback in lending sends a very clear message about the economy and not just the creditworthiness of one applicant or a group of applicants. Even though there may or may not be a technical recession, the amount of uncertainty is quite shocking. The highest rejection rate is among those whose credit scores are below 680, and this is regardless of their age group. The lower the credit score, the fewer opportunities you now have because you are deemed to be a risky borrower. Almost 57% of people with credit scores of 680 and under say that they were rejected for a loan from early to mid-year. That's up from 46% of people with scores in that range in February who said they were turned away. It's not really surprising that those of us with lower credit scores experience higher rejection rates when credit tightens. This happens because the future seems to be more uncertain, and that's why giving out loans is becoming risky. And as the
So like I said before, they know exactly what's coming. That's why they're cutting off all these loans and all that, because they don't want to be caught in a bad place when this new currency and all this come out and this new system come in place. Anybody have any comment?
Shalom.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to go back to mention another current event. Friday, Biden had the summit with Korea and Japan. So they came to a joint agreement about consulting one another for security purposes. If somebody wants to, try and do a missile or anything like that, they have to consult one another because they know what's getting ready to happen as well.
Right, exactly. Right. So with that being said, I was opening it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about last night or anything else they heard, something they came across they want to talk about? Okay, we play this right here, then we go into the lesson. Thought it was pretty interesting.
The health department is reporting a spike of 128% in cases and a 9-fold rise in congenital syphilis in Houston and Harris County. To help us understand the complications to not only the women, but their babies as well, we have Rubina Joseph. She is a primary care and infectious disease specialist physician at the Legacy Community Health. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This is such an important topic because syphilis is so easily treated. So first, let's start off with understanding and explaining to us what syphilis is and what it looks like.
Sure. Syphilis is an infectious disease. It's a bacterial infection that's transmitted primarily through sex, and there are many stages to the disease, but it usually starts off as a painless sore, and then it progresses to later stages if left untreated, and is very easily treated, like you said.
So as an infectious disease specialist, what do you think is giving rise to this dramatic spike?
So there are many reasons for the rise. First of all, STDs in general have been on the rise all across America, and syphilis is one of them, and Houston is feeling it. And the specific rise you're talking about is in women and in congenital syphilis also. Like you said, 128% increase for women and about a 9-fold increase in congenital syphilis. And I would say one of the most important reasons is reduced access to preventative treatment resources and screening resources also. And that's been ongoing for the past few years, and it's been exacerbated, I would say, by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Can you explain what congenital syphilis is? Because I even had to look it up. What's the difference here?
Sure. So congenital syphilis is syphilis that's transmitted from mother to child. So basically, if a mother has syphilis, she can give it to the baby while she's pregnant, and the baby can go ahead and will be born with syphilis.
That's scary. Are there severe complications if this goes untreated?
Absolutely. There are complications in congenital syphilis and in syphilis in an adult who is non-pregnant also. So in a non-pregnant person, if left untreated, it can progress to later forms, which can affect your brain, your heart, your bones, and can lead to death eventually. And that can be anywhere from a few years to many years without treatment. And in congenital syphilis, yes, it can cause a lot of congenital abnormalities. The baby can be born with abnormalities and eventually death also.
So besides pregnant women, who else should be tested for syphilis?
So anyone who has had unprotected sex, had sex with anonymous partners, multiple partners, anyone who's basically at risk for contracting any STDs. If you have a suspicion, then you should go and get tested.
Okay, say we suspect we have syphilis. Someone goes to Legacy Community Health. What kind of services can they receive there?
So we do screening. We do preventative care, like counseling for how to prevent STDs, safe sex, and also we treat you. Also, we have a pharmacy there.
Oh, so it's one-stop shop for treatment.
Exactly.
That's so great to hear. Okay, so if somebody wants to book an appointment, you can go ahead and call Legacy Community Health at the number there.
Okay. Anybody heard anything about that?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was on. I'm not sure if it was the Phil Scott show or another show where they were saying in Houston, like it was like 130% rise in that. But I did watch that. I haven't followed it anymore in a minute, but yes, I did watch that. And also, on one of the sisters that I follow, she was in a camp and she was saying that how rapid it was in the camps because of the multiple partners that they have, and with a lot of people coming in and, not being checked. So she was also saying how that's being spreaded among the camps also.
That's something. Okay.
Yes,
anybody else?
No, I just want to ask Sister Michelle. I heard through TikTok, but I haven't heard it, through the news. Did you get any statistics on the African American with it versus all other nationalities?
No, they didn't say. They was just saying the rise of it and how it's being spreaded so much. But if Houston, it's sort of like Atlanta. You have a lot of blacks there, also Hispanic people there in Houston, right? So I'm not understanding when she said the lack of care, because Houston has a lot of clinics there. So it to me, that just sounds like you're not willing to go get checked. So therefore you just keep spreading, on and on and on, because Houston is a party city, right? So That was one thing I didn't understand that she said, but I'm pretty sure the numbers are at a high rate in the Black community.
Right. Yeah. I was listening to another video, and this guy was talking about how Houston now is Atlanta. He said everybody that was in, most of the people that was in Atlanta, Houston is the new Atlanta, but Atlanta is the old San Francisco.
Mm.
So it's gay thing going on with that.
Right, right.
And transgender is where the spike coming at. What they saying? He said because right.
Right.
Everybody left San Francisco, went to Atlanta. Now then they left from Atlanta, they went to Houston. Okay. All right.
And keep your eye on New Orleans also.
Right. Okay. So, anybody else got anything before we go into the class?
No, sir.
Okay. So we are dealing with Daniel chapter 10, 11, and 12. And what I'm gonna do is, it's a greater understanding came within, like I said, the more information you get, the more your foundation get grounded, the more information started coming out. You start seeing things that you didn't see before because your understanding been heightened. So what I'm gonna do is just start reading, and then I'll just uncover it as I go. So starting out with Daniel chapter 10, and one of the things to keep in mind, like I was saying before, is when you go back to Josephus and Philo of Alexandria, Pender the Elder, Pender the Younger, and President Sir Francis Bacon, all these men was literary geniuses, and they knew how to manipulate phrases, how to manipulate words and all that. And so it wasn't when you say Daniel chapter 10, 11, 12, it wasn't no chapters. So it was a continuous story. So by putting chapters and verses in there, it throw the flow of the understanding out, rather than just reading the whole thing as a story being told. So keep that in mind. And like I was saying, the Antichrist, the Revelation, Book of Revelation, all that's been added by these people I'm talking about. So they're trying to make it work. They went back to Daniel chapter 10, 11, 12 to try to put it into the future to make it work for JC. So we're going to see that while we're reading. So I'm starting Daniel chapter 10, and it says, okay, in the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, and the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and the understanding of the thing, I had understanding of the vision. So this vision right here in chapter 10, Daniel he tells you right here, he got an understanding of this vision. And that's important because of what we're gonna get later. So 10 and 2. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all till 3 weeks were fulfilled. So what is Daniel doing right here? This part of our culture that a lot of people don't understand about. So Daniel first of all, he had a vision, and then he's seeking understanding, and he want to be up on par with everything that's going on concerning the Creator and concerning Israel. So he stopped eating. That's the purpose of the fast. So why would he stop eating? The flesh body. You got a flesh body, which is a casing, sort of like a caterpillar, over the soul. The flesh needs food and water and all that because it's tied to the environment around it. So when you want to bring the spirit up, the soul, spirit, you cut the flesh off. So that's what he's doing. He cutting the flesh off. So that's what we also read last night when he says that or who is this man that drawing near to me? So by drawing near to him, that spirit came from the Creator. So when you suppress the flesh, you bring the spirit up, which is drawing you closer to the Creator. Okay, so verse 3 says, I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all. The 3 full weeks were fulfilled. And in the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes, and I looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with a golden upas. So notice what I just said. Now you see your angels. He didn't suppress the flesh. And so these angels, they tune in to all that. So he didn't suppress the flesh. And then now all of a sudden he says he lifted up his eyes. That's that other dimension, that other realm. So he says, I ate no pleasant bread, and neither came there wine nor in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all. 3 full weeks were fulfilled. And in the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up my eyes. So he's seeing in this other dimension. And I looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded about fine gold and upas. His body also was like beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words was like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. Just something that came to my mind the other night. I didn't get a chance to explain. I'm going to explain it right here. It says, I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, right? And the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. So right there, when you go to the characteristics of these angels and what they name mean and all that, Daniel, Michael's name means he was like Yahweh, but it also means he who fear, he who you should fear, he who brings fear. So when he show up, this is why these men, they say they indignation or they counters go KY, because when he show up. So these men right here, Daniel already experienced them, dealt with him before. These other men fled because of fear. Because that's who he is. When he show up, he brings fear. So, like he said, if you don't fear him, you don't have no respect for him. You don't fear him. Okay. Anyway, 8. Therefore, I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned into me. This is what I was talking about. My comeliness was turned into me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. So he collapsed. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon my palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken these words unto me, I stood trembling. So notice somebody sent him. We looking over there. So he was sent, right? Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day, here we go, when Daniel start fasting. I told you, these angels, that's all intertwined. It says 12. Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, from the first day that thou didst set thy heart to understand. So the first day as soon as he started fasting, this angel already aware of it. He says, so set thy heart to understand and to chasten thyself before God. So what are you doing? Suppressing the flesh, chasing the flesh. So spirit man can come up, right? Chasing thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. Like I talked about this before. Words, you can't see words. To like these beings, heaven and this other dimension, you can't see it. So these words is in the same dimension where these angels and everything is at. So 13, But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief prince, came to help me, and I remained there with the king of Persia. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. Okay. And when he had spoken, okay, it says, and when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. So like I was telling you, I explained it to you. When they bring a vision to you, it's the difference in eating some red beans and rice and then having a whacked out ass dream than when these angels come and bring a vision. So when they come, they got to enter into you for you to have the vision. And when they do that, you can't handle it. You have no strength. You collapse. So it says, and when he had spoken these words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. So now you got to strengthen him. 16, and behold, so it's more than one there, right? It's more than one sitting there. The Lord of hosts and these other angels with him. He says, and behold, one like the similitude of a son of men touched my lips, and he opened my mouth, and I spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, thy vision, see that? By the vision, like I said, my sorrow, because of the vision, my sorrows are turned unto me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remain no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. So he's saying, you gave me this vision, I ain't got no strength. I don't want to talk to you when I don't have no strength. So then came again and touched me, because another one came. Then came again and touched me, one like the similitude of some man, and he strengthened me. That's because he just requested. 19, and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. So through his words, he spoke to him, strengthening, right? Then said he, know thou wherefore I come unto thee. And now I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. All these angels. 21. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. So we see right in verse 21 who the prince is over Israel. These other prince is angels that's over other nations. So we see who the prince is over over Israel is Michael, right? So what is Michael? A strong one. He keep telling you that all through the scriptures. I'm the strong one. I'm the mighty one. I'm the holy one of Israel. There it is right here. So anyway, so like I was saying before, they got this label at chapter 10. So this is the end of chapter 10, but I want to show you something. 21. I just read 21. But so he talking to Gabriel, and then Gabriel says in 20, then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Greece shall come. But check it out, this is how we know it's Gabriel. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures the truth, and there is none that holdeth with me. So this ain't Michael. There's none holding with me in these things, but Michael, your prince. So it's him, Gabriel and him that's looking on this book that's in heaven. That's how they're able to prophesy. They see this book, this book in heaven that's going telling you everything gonna happen. They're the only ones looking on it. So they come down to the earth, bring visions and bring understanding to the prophets. That's how the prophet is able to prophesy. But notice in 21, Gabriel is talking. He says, But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth. There's none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael your prince. So now if you take away the chapter 10 and 11, it continues on. Then he says in chapter 11, verse 1, also I, still Gabriel talking. Also I, in the first year of Darius of the Medes, even I stood to confirm and strengthen him. So Gabriel saying, just like I just strengthened you, Daniel, I was there back when Daniel, when Cyrus came on the scene, and I strengthened him. See that? Then keep going. And now I will show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far greater than them all. And by his strength and through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of the Grecians. So what is he talking about? Go back to verse 1, chapter 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed. So from Cyrus, he says, 3 more kings gonna stand up. And the fourth shall be far richer than all of them, right? Then it says in verse 3, and a mighty king shall stand up that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken. So this Alexander is great, right? Because we know Darius is the one he's talking about in verse 2. That's going to be far richer than all the other kings of Medes and Persians. Darius was. Then Alexander came and defeated Darius. So verse 4 says, and when he shall stand up, this Alexander, his kingdom shall be broken. We know that. And he shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his prosperity, nor according to his dominion, which he shall rule, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even from the others beside those. And the king of the south, so now these are the 4 kings that took over after Alexandria. You got one in Egypt, one in Assyria, that's king of south, north, east, and west. There's ain't no king in the south now. This all during the time of Alexandria. So it says, and the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion, and his dominion shall be great dominion. And in the end of years, they shall join themselves together, for the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she shall not return her power of his own, but she shall be given up. And they that brought her, and he that begot her, and he that strengthened her in those times. But a branch of her roots shall once stand up in his estate. We shall come with an army and shall enter. All this is in first Maccabees. And shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and she shall deal against them and shall prevail, and shall also carry captive into Egypt their gods with their princes and with their precious vessels of silver and gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the south. So when you see this right here, when the Greeks came, we know that Bartholomew had them to make Serapis. So this is what he's talking about right here, Serapis, tied to Serapis. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and he shall return into his own land, but his son shall be stirred up and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come, overflow, and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up, even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved with clover, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hands. And when he have taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many tens of thousands, but he shall not be strengthened by it. For the king of the north shall return and shall set forth. So they fighting. That's who the Greeks are. That's who Japhet is. They warlike people, the Isles and Gentiles. And when he has taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many tens of thousands, but he shall not be strengthened by it. For the king of the north shall return, shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years. with a great army and with a great riches. And in these times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish a vision, but they shall fall. So we see right here, like I was telling you, it says, in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. That's Egypt, right? And the robbers of Israel is Edomites. So this is where Esau come into play here, right here. The robbers of our people, they the ones stole the temple. They the ones stole the land of Israel. Because of what happened with Jacob and Esau at the blessings, when they would see the blessings, they always wanted the land. This is where they got it right here. So 15. So the king of the north shall come, cast up a mount, take the most fenced cities, and arm the south, and arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall there any be strengthened, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand up before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land. By his hand shall it be consumed. So the glorious land is Israel. He shall also set his face to enter into the strength of his whole kingdom, and the upright ones, that's Israelites, the upright ones with him. So he got some Israelites with him. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. And the upright ones with him, thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her, that she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. It's Israel. And after this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many, but the prince of his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to escape, which should cease. Without his own reproach, he shall cause it to turn upon him. Then shall he turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall, and not be found. Then shall stand up in his estate and raise their taxes in the glory of the kingdoms. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. And in his state shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give their honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And with an arm of a flood, he shall then be overthrown from before him and shall be broken. Yea, also the prince of the covenant. So the prince of the covenant is the high priest. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, and he shall come up, and he shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the providence, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his father's father. He shall scatter among the prey, and spoil and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the stronghold, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with great army, and the king of the south shall stir up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yet they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall be overflowed, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. So we're starting to get to the meat, right? 27 says, both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall not be at the time appointed. So this is what our point I want to make it right here. So he says that after all that happened, you're going to see where we at in time and history, that it has nothing to do with Revelations. So 27 says, both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall not be for the time, it shall not be at the time appointed. So what he's talking about, go back to Daniel over here. Like I said, these verses and these chapters and throwed you off from getting a greater understanding of what's going on. So we see in chapter 7, Gabriel came to Daniel. We're going to pick it up in chapter 8, verse 15. This is the vision Daniel had of the ram and the he-goat. So it says, it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision, sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Uriah, which called and said, Gabriel. See that? That's how we know it's Gabriel right here. Gabriel, make this man. So Michael telling Gabriel, make this man understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid. There you go again, the fear. And he fell upon my face. I fell upon my face, but he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end, they go to the end he talking about. See that? But at the time of the end shall be the vision. That's what he's talking about in over here, in 11 and 27. And both these kings, so that's how we know all this will happen. Both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. This the plumb line over here in Daniel chapter 8. It says, now as he was speaking with me, Daniel 8 and 18. Now as he was speaking with me, a deep sleep fell upon my I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. Remember that, last end of indignation. For the time appointed, the end shall be. That's the end of Israel as a nation. And we know how long ago that happened. So these like I said, these literary geniuses and all this, they concocted it. Well, they put it over there. Once JC got concocted, they put it over there, making it look like it's haven't happened yet. That it's all tied to JC. But you can see right here, what I'm reading, the end was when the nation of Israel came to an end, when Antiochus came. You're going to see that in a minute. So let's keep going. I'm in Daniel chapter 11. And, I just read 27. I'm in 28. Then shall he return unto his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant. What covenant? That's the covenant that he got with Israel, the Lord of hosts. And he shall do exploits and return to his own land. And at the time appointed, there go the time appointed, he shall return. So it's time for the end to come that he just told Daniel. At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. For the ships of Checham, that's the Romans, 4 beasts. For the ships of Checham shall come up against him. Therefore, he shall be grieved and return and make, he go to indignation. Most High's indignation says, in return and have indignation against the holy covenant. That's the Israelites. And so shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And the arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute, here we go. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice. Here you go, right here. Take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that make it desolate. So now let's look at this right quick. Yeah, I hope you're keeping up. So let's go to fast forward right quick to chapter 11, verse 11. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 10, Daniel 11 and 10. Many shall be purified. They want you to think all this ain't happened yet, right? Many shall be purified, made white, tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. None of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. That's right. 11. From the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and abomination that make it desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. So you got all these folks trying to calculate this 1,290 days, right? Look what, go back over here where I was at in chapter 11, verse 31. See that? It says, and this Antiochus, and the arm shall stand up on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and they shall take away the daily sacrifice. They're going to daily sacrifice taken away right here. And they shall place the abomination of desolation. So he just told you in 11, in Daniel 12. 12 and 11. And from the time of the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and abomination that make it desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. That already happened. From the time the daily sacrifice, Antiochus came, stopped the daily sacrifice, which is 3 times a day, in the morning, noon, and evening. Antiochus stopped it. So this 1,200 days is in between that and the time of the abomination that make it desolate. Already happened. Okay? So let's look at it. Keep going. 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people, all this is in First Maccabees. Such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know that God shall be strong and do exploits. That's in First Maccabees, when the 7 sons of the woman stood up against him, and they tried to make them eat hog and make them pollute the sanctuary, and they wouldn't. They killed them. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword and by famine, by captivity, and by spoils many days. So let's look at that right quick. Here it is. I just read it in chapter 12, verse 10. Many shall be purified, made white, tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. You see all this happening in Daniel chapter 12. He prophesied in Daniel chapter 12, and it's happening. So none of this got nothing to do with today or coming in the future. So 35, and some of them understand shall fall, and try them to purge and to make them white, even to make them white, right? So let's look at that. To make them white. And here we go in verse 10, Daniel 12 and 10. Many shall be purified and made white. See that? Baboon can see this. So anyway, it says, and some of them understand shall fall. I'm back in Daniel 11 and 20, 35. Fall to try them, to purge, to make them white, even to the time of the end. See that? Because it is yet for a time appointed. That's when the Israel ran out the land. That's when the end comes. The nation of Israel came to the end. That's the end he's talking about. The king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself, this Antiochus, and magnify himself above every god. That's what Antiochus means. When you Google that, what that name means. So every god, and he shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and he shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. So what are you talking about? Go back to Daniel 8, right? Daniel, let me see. Yeah, Daniel 8, verse 19. And he said, Gabriel talking to Daniel, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. See that? For the time appointed. And we see it coming to pass over here in Daniel chapter 11. So he says, and 36, 11 and 36, and the king shall do according to his will. This is the king of fierce countenance, and he shall exalt himself, magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, Lord of hosts, and shall prosper till the indignation, the Lord of hosts indignation, be accomplished. Well, for that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor desire of women, nor they shall make you think all this haven't happened yet, right? Nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate he shall honor the God of forces. That's Serapis, God of forces, right? Magnify himself above all. But in his estate he shall honor the God of forces, and the God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. So it's Serapis. That later, when the Romans got hold to it, they turned him in, Constantine turned him into Jesus. And they got these Josephus and Pinadale and all them to write him into the scriptures in Alexandria, Egypt. right there in the library. Okay, it say, thus shall he do in the most stronghold with a strange God. That's Serapis, whom he shall acknowledge and increase. See that? So Ptolemy started it, created the Serapis, but he increased him right here. And at that time, at the end, shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships. And he shall enter into the country, and he shall overflow and pass over, and he shall enter into the glorious land. That's land of Israel. And many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hands. Edom, here we go. This I was telling you. Edom from this point on became Israel. They stole the land. So Edom and Moab and chief children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hands also upon the countries in the land of Egypt. He shall not escape, but he shall have power over the treasures of gold, silver, and over precious things of Egypt. And Libya and Ethiopia shall be at his step. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas of the seas in a glorious holy land. So he caused abomination and desolation first, but yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. I read that. If I have enough time, I go back to First Maccabees, where the Most High killed him in front of his whole army, Antiochus. He came to the end, and it says no one can help him because of the Lord of hosts done it. So here we go, where the understanding really comes in chapter 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. Okay, time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time our people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. So we see right here, this is one of the things that came to light, was that these verses right here are projecting into the future. When it says Michael shall stand up, and this is Ezekiel 37, which hasn't happened. And it says many shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt, and they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars of heaven forever and ever. So right there at the end of that, he tells him in verse 4, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the word. See that? So this is in the future. So he told him to shut that up, right? Shut it up and seal this, even to the time of the end of the world. Many shall run to and fro, knowledge shall be increased. Then we pick back up in the present tense. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood the other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which is upon the waters of the river, how long shall the end be to these wonders? Right? You play back to the present day at that time. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time and a half a time. Check it out. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be accomplished. So when the Israelites got ran out of the land, all that was accomplished. So this ain't got nothing to do with no Antichrist coming in the future. Let's look at it again. Verse 7. I heard the man clothed in linen, this Michael, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand under heaven, swore by Yahweh that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time. So this time, half a time, they're trying to calculate that, just like they're trying to calculate this 1,000 1,190 days in future tense when all this stuff that happened. So it says a time, and half a time when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. That's when we got scattered. And these things shall be finished. See that? So we already know we don't have no temple. We're not in our land. So all this stuff is finished. The time, half a time was incorporated in there. You ain't got to be trying to calculate that. That's what these clowns did to us. So anyway, and I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, oh my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked. So we see out right here, this is when the end came. When in First Maccabees, when he tortured all the Israelites, but they stood up and they died worshiping the Most High. They didn't eat the hog. They tried to make that was the leaders, the princes of Israel that was righteous. They tried to make them fold for the rest of the people to fold, but they wouldn't. They sided with the Most High. That's the ones he's talking about in Ezekiel 37. Some the righteousness, some the unrighteousness, right? And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, an abomination that make a desert set up, 1,290 days. So we know the abomination desolation already happened. So what's the need of trying to calculate that? It ain't got nothing to do with us in these last days, right? Blessed is he that waited and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thy way to the end and thou shalt be, or shalt stand up in thy lot at the end of days. So we see how we going in and out with these with this prophecy, but you have to understand that. So now let me go over here. Anybody got a comment? I'm gonna read that out of First Maccabees about being tried and made white. Okay, so you go to First Maccabees. Maybe let me see. Okay. Nobody have no comments? I'm trying to find this. Okay. Maybe in Second Maccabees. Okay. Yeah, here you go right here. So I'm in Second Maccabees, chapter 6, and this pertaining to being made white. They ain't talking about it now. It already happened. So it says, let's see. For he said, I'm gonna start over here. It says, for he said it does not become our time of life to pretend and so lead many young people to support that Eleazar, when 90 years old has gone over to heathenism and to be led astray from me because of my pretense for the sake of of this short and insignificant life. So they're trying to get him to eat pig on the Sabbath, while I defile and disgrace my old age. Or even if for the presence I escape the punishment of men, yet whether I live or die, I shall not escape the hands of the Almighty. Therefore, so this is what he means by being made white and purified and be glorified, because they stood up for the Lord of hosts. Therefore, by manfully giving up my life now, I will prove myself worthy of my great age and leave to the young and noble example of how to die willingly and nobly for the sacred and holy laws. With these words, he went straight to the torture wheel, while those who so shortly before had felt kindly toward him became hostile to him, because the words he had uttered were, in their opinion, more madness, as he was about to die under the strokes. He said with a groan, "The Lord is his holy knowledge, knows that though I might be escape death, I endure dreadful pains in my body from being flogged, but in my heart I am glad to suffer this, because I fear him." And so he died, leaving in his death a pattern of nobility and a moral virtue, not only to young, but to the mass of his nation. So we can see right here, this is another way characteristic they got when they concocted JC. So it says, it happened that 7 brothers were also arrested. So after they witnessed what he done, 7 brothers were also arrested with their mother and were tortured with whips and thongs by the king to force them to taste the unlawful swine meat. One of them made himself their advocate and said, "Who do you expect to ask and learn from us? I mean, what do you expect to ask and learn from us? For we are ready to die rather than transgress the law of our God." This will get resurrected in Ezekiel 37. The king was infuriated and gave Antiochus. The king was infuriated and gave orders that pans and cauldrons should be heated. And when they were immediately heated, he commanded that the tongues of one whom had been advocate should be cut out, and that they should scalp him and cut off his extremities, while his brothers and his mother looked on. And when he was utterly crippled, he ordered them to bring him to the fire and fry him. And as the vapors from the pan spread thickly, they with their mothers encouraged one another to die nobly, saying, "The Lord God is looking on, and he truly relents toward us," as Moses declared in his song, which bore witness against them face to face, when he said, "And he will relent toward his slaves." And when the first one had departed in this manner, they brought the second one to be marked, and they tore off his skin and his head, or with the hair, and asked him, "Will you eat or have your body punished limb by limb?" And he replied in the language of his forefathers, in Hebrew, and answered, "No." So he also underwent the same series of tortures as the first suffered. But when he was at his gasp, he said, "You wretched, you released us from this present life, but the King of the world will raise us up," Ezekiel 37, "because we have died for his laws and everlasting renewal of life." After him, the third was mocked, and when he was told to pull out his tongue, he did so quickly and courageously stretched out his hands and said nobly, "I got these from heaven, and for the sake of its laws, I disregard them, and from it I have to receive them back again, so that the king himself and those who were with him were amazed at the young man's spirit, because he made light of his suffering." So let's look at that right quick. This is the third boy. He says, so these, after him, the third was mocked, And when he was told, put out your tongue, he did it quickly and courageously stretched out his hands and said nobly, I got these, his hands, from heaven, and for the sake of his laws, I disregard them. And from it, I hope to receive them back. So let's look at that. What are you talking about? Let's go to Ezekiel 37. Okay. Ezekiel 37. So I start reading at verse 1. We got time. So it says, the hand of the Lord was upon me, carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord, thou knowest. And again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter in you, and ye shall live. And I will lay, look at this, right here, here it go. I will lay sinew upon you, and I will bring up flesh upon you, cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So 7. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise. Now here you go. Behold, it's shaking it. Bones came together to his bones. So the hands came back to where they was at, the feet, everything. That's what he's talking about. You see, I gave them up. Lord of hosts gave them to me, and now you trying to make me take this or go against his laws. I give them up because of his laws. I'm gonna get them back. Here you go, right here. So, like I said before, where is JC at in all that? That's the big thing. Where is JC at in all that? So I'm gonna read the rest of this, and then I'm gonna open up for the Q&A and close out. So I'm in Second Maccabees, chapter 7. It says, and when he had departed, he turned and maltreated the fourth in the same way. And when he was near his end, he spoke thus, it is better to die by man's hands and look for the hope of God that gives to being raised again by him, and you will have no resurrection to life. Next, they brought up a fifth and maltreated him, but he looked at him and said, since you have all authority among men, though you are mortal, you do what you please, but do not suppose that our race has been abandoned by God, but follow your course, and see how his mighty power will torment you and your posterity. After him, they brought the sixth, and when he was at the point of death, he said, do not be falsely deceived, for we suffer these things because of ourselves, for we sin against our God. So these amazing things have happened, but you must not suppose that you will go unpunished for having attempted to fight against God. But their mother was oppressingly wonderful and deserved a blessed memory, for though she saw her 7 sons perish within a single day, she bore it with good courage because her hope is in the Lord. And she encouraged each of them in the language of their forefathers, Hebrew, for she was filled with noble spirit and stirred a woman's heart with manly courage, and said to them, I do not know how you appear in my womb, for it was not that I gave you a breath, and it was not that I brought you into harmony the elements of each. Therefore, the creator of the world, who formed the human race and arranged the generations of all things, will give you back again. All of them saying the same thing. Again, life and breath in his mercy. And you will now, or regardless of yourselves, for the sake of his laws. Then all we know is Antiochus, thinking that he was being treated with contempt. He suspectingly her reproach cried as the youngest still survived, not only to appeal to him the words, but also promised him with an oath, with a vow, that he would make him rich and in envy. So he tried to trick the young boy, the last boy, the youngest one. Okay, and then so here you go. I'll read what he said. The youngest boy, the last one. And my son, having pity on me, who carried you 9 months in the womb. This is the mother telling the young boy, and nursed you for 3 years, and brought you up and brought you to your present age, and supported you. I beseech you, my child, to look up at heaven and the earth, and see all that is in them, and perceive that God do not make them out of the things that exist. And in that way, the human race came in existence. Do not be afraid of this butcher, but show yourself worthy to your brothers, and accept death, so that by God's mercy I may get you back again with your brothers. Before she could finish, the young boy said, what are you waiting for? I will not obey the commands of the king, but I will obey the commands of the law that was given to our fathers through Moses. But you who have destined every kind of evil against the Hebrews will not escape the hands of God, for we are suffering because of our sin. And though our living Lord is angry for a little while to rebuke and discipline us, he will reconcile with his own slaves again. But you, impious man, and vilest of all men, do not falsely buoy up yourself up in your insolence with uncertain hopes. When you raise your hand against the children of heaven, for you have not yet escaped the judgment of the Almighty, all-seeing God. For our brothers, after enduring a brief suffering, have drunk everlasting life under the agreement of God. But you, by the judgment of God, will receive a rightful penalty for your arrogance. So we see right here, this is what happened. So this is my point, is that wouldn't JC come before these boys? Look at what they done. They the example. JC ain't the damn example. So wouldn't he come before them? And then they do what he done? He came after them. Come on. Ain't that a song? So this is where they got it from. Okay? So with that being said, anybody got any comments? No comments?
Shalom. Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. When you were reading Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, right? It clearly tells you that it is Michael, right? At that time, Michael shall stand up. So as you has taught us, and we understand this, that he is the only archangel mentioned in the Bible, right? He is the one that stands guard over Israel, right? So when they try to inject JC, which we're gonna stomp him in the ground every chance we get, you understand that they try to lead you to Christ with that, right? Exactly. That's why they want us starting in the back of the book. That's why they don't teach us this,
right?
About Michael. They're just continue to try to just disregard him every chance they get, right? But 12:1 clearly explains to us who that will be delivering us,
right?
Not JC.
Exactly. And like I said, once you look at that, it's over time. When first Most High comes, just like we saw when he drove out the Canaanites and the Amorites, he's little by little. So the more you get, the more understanding you get, the more and more apt you get with. So once you get to a certain point, you can see that that ain't the only place that Michael's name was at. They took it out the other places.
Yes, sir.
His name was all through there when you knew it was him. So right here, they thinking that they didn't have to take it out right there, but it's now in these last days, it's a dagger. It's a dagger, but it was all over the place. His name, Michael, was all over the place before they got hooked to our scripture. And so, like I said before, wouldn't those 7 boys come after Jesus? Wouldn't Jesus be the example?
Yes, sir. Right.
So they came. They the ones. They go to suffering servant right there. I keep on showing you in Isaiah 53. They the suffering servant. And what's their reward? They're gonna be resurrected. In Ezekiel 37. That's way before JC came. JC acting like them. Shit, come on. It's a joke.
Shalom, yes, sir. And
Okay.
they don't teach of the other Gabriel, Raphael, and the rest of the angels that have the responsibility and take the orders from Michael and when you pray. So they don't never teach you that. And that's
Right.
a big part of all of Michael's duties and responsibilities as he, take care of us.
Right. And directing them.
Yes, sir.
Right. Directing those other 6. So they even try to they try to smooth it out, but we know that he says in the latter days the wise gonna understand. So why would they understand? He poured his spirit out on them. They can't usurp that.
Sir.
That's where we at. He poured his spirit out, and we looking at all this stuff.
Right. Yes, sir. Because they know if they do teach you about the other 6, where it's going to lead you back to.
Right.
The archangel. So they you know what I'm saying? They ain't going to,
yes, ma'am.
yeah, that's where it's going to lead you back to the chief prince. So they ain't going to, you know what I'm saying, teach you that. It's they're trying to teach them it's all about Christ. So if you go to the New Testament, they start opening up about the other 6 holy angels. That's going to lead you right back to the archangel, the Lord of hosts.
Right. He keep saying, and he keep on saying, like I said, his name was there. Each one of them, when whoever was there, their name was there. Just like with whoever Jacob was wrestling with, his name was there. They took that out, but he says that when he was wrestling with him, and he went to and he asked him his name, then you keep going down, and then it tells you indirectly female. That's one of the things that amazes me, because then I went back and to the book of Enoch, and he keep on saying, I'm the Holy One of Israel. Well, it tells you, Moses, in the beginning, he created 7 holy ones. But they'll make you think he's talking about Yahweh, the Holy One. But it tells you in the book of Enoch, he created 7 holy ones. So we see that.
Yes, sir. And when you really look at it and you read, and this just me thinking back, from everything that I have learned over the years and being part of Prophets of Awakening, right? When they was teaching you about Christ and they saying that, he died for your sins and so forth. And when you was reading Daniel chapter 12, right? But if you go over to Matthew, it says Christ will come back and destroy the wicked ones.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just totally crazy. Right. No. It makes no sense whatsoever. And you don't see that when you just bound by, that craziness. It's, man, that's something. Yeah, all praise something else.
Right. And they always talking about, the different, when they deal with the Gospels, how they can see the different literary handiwork, a certain amount of men that was dealing with it. Yeah, you're right. You got Bacon, you got Penadel the Younger, you got all these clowns that was in Egypt that was concocting it. And that's why you can see them, these different, even Bacon. They all got their own way of doing things from a literary perspective, and you can see it in the scriptures. But that's not so when you're dealing with the prophets. But you can see the intervention of them and what they're doing. Like I said, right there with those 7 boys, the pain and the suffering that they got, you can see that's where that came in at when they concocted JC. Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yes, sir.
Right. I mean, after that, just though we know a lot more of them went through that same process because he killed a lot of them. So you saying that they died in vain? You know, JC had to come. You know what I mean? All this dying and suffering that happened then before he came. There was no need for him to do shit. Cause look what they done. Ain't that something?
Yes, sir.
When they ain't go down, they ain't have no sign. No damn 3 days and 3 nights. Come on. It's a joke. Okay, so anybody else got anything before we go? Everybody good?
Yes, sir. All praises. Great class.
Sir.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say shalom. I'll see everybody to close out the Shabbat at 6 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.